Welcome back to Characters of the Databank, Honkai Star Rail. We concluded with Dan hanging baby Terlune, so the next person I will be reading is Arlan. Arlan Destruction. Character introduction. The head of Herta Space Station Security Department. This quiet boy hopes to protect the researchers who value their pursuit of knowledge and to help them to complete their work. The character itself is, like, as you can see, quite a young boy. The Herta space station was built in space, is controlled by multiple characters, and one of them is actually called Herta. You'll encounter Herta later on. It's more of somebody who uses puppets so they can do and continue their research, and the puppets do most of the work for her. That's as far as my understanding goes for it. The inarticulate head of the Herta Space Station Security Department. While scientific research is beyond his understanding, Arlan is willing to risk his life to protect the staff who value research so very much. He's used to pain and wears his scars like badges of honor. Only when holding Peppy does the boy let down his guard and show a rare smile. I wish Peppy was in here. Peppy is the dog of one of the characters that we'll talk about later. It's a white, fluffy dog. It's tiny as hell, and it's so cute. How is Arlan's work in the security department? Brother Arlan is the beacon that guides the security department, the core support for everyone's battles. Without him, the space station would fall to pieces in a day. Without him, people's lives would be ruined in 10 days. Without him, the station would be hellish in just 100 years. But he plays holodiscs with Peppy during work hours. Because he's finished all daily security tasks ahead of schedule, his mere presence is an inspiration to us all. But he plays holodiscs with Peppy during work hours. How do you know that playing holodiscs with Peppy isn't actually part of his job description? You're not allowed to play with your phone while out on patrol. Give it to me. No, Brother Arlan. People are talking smack about you in the group chat, don't you care? Nope, too busy. Huh? Have you got an urgent mission? Let me go with you, what happened? I'm getting Peppy to do rehab through playing holodisc. He's really obsessed with the dog, I think. Part 2. There are countless strange and valuable things around Miss Asta's house. Asta is the owner of Peppy. But it's the dog at death's door that attracts the most attention. What's more, her forlorn cries only increase in volume as her parents attempt to comfort her, telling her that this dog she picked up won't live very long, and they are better off buying her another one. That filthy puppy just lies there without the strength to even lift up its head and look around the people surrounding it. The crying, arguing, and the silence. None of this has anything to do with it. At one point, he thinks it had already stopped breathing, so he bends down to check its nose. Just then, the dog suddenly licks his fingers, which is about the farthest distance it can stretch. Its tongue is wet. Wanna play holodisc? Its lifeless eyes suddenly light up. Part 3. He stops pacing in the corridor and gazes out of the window into the tranquility of deep space, the dark circles around his eyes reflecting back at him. Another pair of bloodshot eyes appear at the window. Their owner looks more relaxed than she usually does before the researchers and absent-mindedly lets out a huge yawn. You're up late, not going to bed? I'm feeling anxious, so I'm just out for a patrol. I just updated the firmware for the defense shield and security systems are all operating smoothly. Well, maybe I'm overthinking things, but... I understand. You're the head of security, and I trust your instincts. The space station remains brightly lit and operates without a stop. They each return to their respective posts. They now know that regardless of the protection of Madame Herta's fame, the defensive measures around the space station and the round-the-clock vigilance of the security department, if a disaster was to occur, it would only take seconds. Everyone's evacuated. Arlan, hurry up. There may still be survivors inside. No, there aren't any more life signs in there. He thought he could trust Asta until the moment when countless Antimatter Legion bombs poured towards him like a tsunami. The signal from the Watcher Zone is faint. Asta won't be able to see this situation. He's now standing alone in the elevator. He has to make a decision, even if he has to disobey Asta's orders, no matter the cost. He has to block access to the elevator to save everyone. He cannot allow these monsters to get to the master control zone. Sorry, Miss Asta. The Antimatter Legion strikes him down from behind before he can explain himself. He falls, and his remote communication disconnects. He had never hesitated, whether working in Miss Asta's home or after becoming Herta Space Station's head of security department. He had always taken for granted that since Miss Asta decided to head in one direction, he has to follow her. Arlan raises his head with great difficulty, and the monsters move closer to him. He had never disobeyed an order from Miss Asta before. This is the first time. Hopefully it won't be the last time. This thought pops up in his head. Propping himself up with his greatsword, he slowly and firmly stands up. Sadly, that is the end of it. It leaves it on a cliffhanger. Hook is the kid that we heard about from Clara's story. He is the self-proclaimed boss of an underworld adventure squad, the Moles. She loves freedom and sees life as a series of adventures. The thing that I also had is I did a side quest for her, and she cares a lot about her father. He does everything just to make her happy, even sells things that he could use to actually make a living for them, just because he wants her to be happy and not worry about things. Head of the adventure squad, the Moles, she calls herself Pitch Dark Hook the Great. She doesn't like to be called a kid and believes she can handle things herself without any help from adults. Adults adventure into the fragmentum. Mr. Sampo adventures on the surface, and patients take their risky adventure seeking treatment from Natasha. Under the leadership of Hook, children can also have their own adventures. Blank. Weather, fine. Mood, very bad. Today, I broke one of the old witch's test tubes and got chewed out. The old witch is terrible. She never lets us play together during lunch and only lets us take a nap. I hate her. We should rebel against her tyranny. We can't let her get her way. I'm gonna make a gang called the Moles and grab, kidnap, and invite all the kids from the clinic. We'll take down the old witch together, and then we can eat whatever we want and have fun, and nobody can stop us. And I'll be the boss of the Moles, and the boss of the whole clinic too. I'll give that old witch a nice talking to every day and make her do all the chores. Mwahaha. Character Store Part 2. It's again a blank date, weather freezing, mood very happy. Today I went to the machine graveyard to find a suitable weapon. As the boss of the Moles, I've got to have a great weapon. I met a girl there. She was a few years older than me, but I'm still the boss, and was wearing a pretty red coat, but she had no shoes on. I don't know why she had no shoes on, since that's gotta be very cold, since she wasn't feeling very cold though. Her hair was white like snow, and it was pretty. I want white hair too, long and white hair. She was very shy, too shy to talk to me at first, but that's cool. I super love talking and super love making friends. I chatted with her for a long time. I know her name now, Clara, and her dad is a super big robot. Her dad is really cool, but not as cool as Daddy Firstman. She is my friend now, and she helped me find a really strong Diggertron. She's now an honorary member of the Moles. Weather, still freezing. Mood, bad, got scratched out, and it says normal instead now. Today, Alina's mom and dad came to see her. Alina was very happy, and seeing her like this made me happy too. I thought of mom and dad. I haven't seen them for a long time. Even though Daddy Firstman is very kind to me, I still miss my mom and dad. In the evening, Daddy explained to me again the reason why mom and dad couldn't come back, but I actually remember anyway, because Daddy has told me so many times. I found that Daddy is always forgetting things recently. I asked Natasha, and she said it's because Daddy is getting too old now. Then I asked her if she can help fix Daddy's sickness, but she said she can't and even apologized. I think the old witch is lying to me just because I've been a little bit naughty recently. She's the bestest doctor in our town and I can fix everything. So why can't she fix Daddy? Fine. I've decided that I'll write down anything that Daddy said, because I'm the big bad boss of the Moles. As you can see, this is her what's it called again? A diary. And I think with the wish, she refers to Natasha, which is a character we'll meet later on. And Natasha is actually a healer, nurse, doctor, cleric kind of deal. The next part I don't have unlocked yet because she's not leveled up to 80. Address the clinic. Had a heart-to-heart conversation with Hook. The contents are as follows. Daddy Firstman was once a very good friend of Mom and Dad's. Back then, we all lived in a small town in the north. One day, Mom went into the Fragmentum and never came out again. Mom loved eating stone-grilled olm. Dad missed her so much that he made me stone-grilled olm to eat every day. Then one day when I came home, I saw Dad lying on the bed looking very uncomfortable. I bursted into tears and went to find Daddy Firstman next door. He said Dad was sick and he took Dad and me to see the town doctor. We stayed with Dad at the doctor's place for several days. In the end, we almost used up all our money. Daddy secretly told me to save the money. He also told me that he was uncomfortable staying there and wanted to go home, so I went to Daddy and told him I wanted to go home with my dad. But when Daddy and I went to see him, he stopped talking. Daddy was on his knees and crying, but I don't understand what was going on. Daddy explained to me that Dad missed Mom so much that he went to see her inside his dreams. I asked Daddy when will my dad wake up. Daddy just kept crying though, and didn't answer me. I didn't cry. No, Natasha, I don't need any tissues. Actually, later, I secretly asked the doctor something. I know that my dad is dead and won't come back forever, and Mom is the same. I know that Daddy doesn't want me to make me sad, so he keeps on lying to me. I know that Daddy is the very best person in the whole world, and I like Daddy the most. So that's why I want to find lots of treasure with everyone so we can build Daddy a nice big house and help fix Daddy. It's a really sad story again. But the world she comes from is Belleborg. The big issue with it is that it got taken over by snow and ice and, that kind of stuff. So a lot of people had to relocate. They started making slums in the underworld and everything like that to be able to actually live in a warmer area. And she is taken in by a man who literally tries and does everything he can to make her happy. It's a really sad story, Belleborg, but in the end, we come along and we actually help them. Xueyi, character introduction. Judge of the Ten Lords Commission, which presides over the jurisdiction of life and death in the Luofu. For years after her death, she inhabited a puppet body and returned to the world to fulfill her mission. It's one of the characters that, is supposed to be dead, but their soul is contained inside a puppet, I think. At least from what the details said. She is in charge of detention among the 4 judges of detention, interrogation, incarceration, and punishment, with Iron Chain and Mara Sunder all in hand in tireless pursuit of recidivists. She will forthwith ensnare and subdue them all. The mortal coil of her past being has been reduced to ashes. She is reanimated via a puppet body. For each villain she captures, she gets in return half a day in the world of the living. This sounds a bit like, if you don't capture people, we'll just shut you down, which is kind of a scary thought. Character story part 1. 10 Lords Perceptual, Karma Perpetual. Dressed as white as the driven snow, the judge strolls out from the dim street, obscuring his final escape. The man drew closer, but the shrill tremble in his voice betrayed his fear. How is catching them not enough? It may have started with a how, but not as a question, rather as a rhetorical one. The semantic analysis goes back and forth in the mind, and there is no other intel other than the target clearly knew who the accomplice was. She decided to execute the mission assigned to her straight away. The eyeballs, forehead, chin, heart, and the core S and the lower abdomen. With a glance, she marked off all the parts that might make for a single effective strike. Despite Foxians being known for their quick reactions, her opponent had left himself wide open, and 1 round, 2 rounds max, should be enough to take care of things. But this blow missed. The judge looked at him with an air of curiosity. The man's body seemed to move like scurrying mice, with muscles undulating, and his eyes sparkled with the gleam of a well-executed plan. He panted violently, as though suffering from a critical illness, and during a burst of uncontrolled pain his body shot out large swaths of fine hairs as his limbs and body swelled and tore open by some invisible force. Under the glow of moonlight within the delve, a monstrous wolfman stood up. In the view of the judge, the sanguine silhouette enveloped its body had burned up into a wildfire. "You are seeking death." She has an urge to sigh out of habit, but her body no longer has that function. The partaking of the disciples of Sanctus Medicus concoction will only hasten your demise. The man's gaze barely wavers at all. "The second I was discovered by you, I only ever had a few more days to live." The Foxian grabs the medicine pouch and pours out more pills into his mouth as though it were candy. "You are a tool that sheds no blood and cries no tears. You could never understand. I have my reasons for leaving here." A huge fist suddenly expanded, filling up the entire field of vision, and the judge barely had any time to react. Shaking her arms, the chains she clutched whipped into a circle as she tried to lasso the fist. The fist punched into her chest with astonishing force, splitting cracks into the ground like cobwebs and creating a crater beneath where the white-robed judge was standing. There was no pain, only the gentle ringing of damaged ingenium parts. The white-robed judge was left befuddled. "Madame Xueyi, this body of yours is beyond salvation. I have to move you into a new puppet now. This process may leave you a little confused. Please bear with me." Similar conversations had been exchanged between her and Xueyi, the spiritfarer, over and over again. She responded the same as always. "Thank you. This time, please pick something sturdy." She saw Xueyi's foxy ear twitch. Was it out of frustration? She knew not. Her eyes could see, but they had no capacity for recognizing emotion, and maybe this was through no fault of her eyes. "I've packed all the best, hardest, and most flexible parts into Madame Xueyi's body, but your rates of injury and damage are still the highest in the division. The craftsmen of the interrogation division have started to grumble. Once you put me together, I will. Just give each of them a light tap on the head, okay?" A familiar voice came beside her as she lay at 6s and 7s. "They are still flesh and blood and cannot stand your jokes." Long hair drooped down to cover her face, and a disturbance signal emitted from her artificial skin. The woman's face looked down, had each independent feature combined into a new one that was both extremely familiar yet also kind to her. "Sister, having an ingenium body will always lull you into a false sense of invulnerability. However, I have to use the remaining days of reanimation to offset premature damage to this body of yours. I hope you can remember during your next mission that you've still got a sister out there who cares about you." "I remember." "Otherwise you'll have to get Xueyi to write this line into your mind." "I'm just kidding, Xueyi. No need for that. I trust my sister can remember it." "So, Madame Xueyi, let's begin." She felt herself being sliced open, copied, split into 1,000 pieces, and uploaded into millions of circuits housed at the Ten Lords Commission. When, in a flash, she shuffled through countless documents inscribed in the Hall of Karma, and then after a fleeting glimpse at all the souls of the Janzo, the memory vanished. Moments later, she entered the body of a nearby automaton, spectral envoy, feeling both the strength of a metal body alongside the unshakable will of the Jade Abacus. She has 1,000 pairs of eyes, watching over the people of Starskiff Haven with the wings and sideline of a cycrane. She has 1,000 ears, scanning the changing waves and pitches among the infinite possible frequencies. Her 1,000 hands write handwritten judgments on the spiritfarer's body, and her 1,000 feet give chase over unfamiliar avenues. She knows that she's only inside the Jade Abacus circuitry of the Ten Lords Commission, but she feels as though she were everywhere and gradually fading away. "Sister! Sister!" A familiar voice rang out again beyond the waveform of the voice prints, and she was trapped fast inside a memory. The white-robed judge was left befuddled. "Sister! Sister!" She was shocked to discover herself beneath an azure sky, surrounded by lush, undulating waves of wheat growing. She smiled as she braided together the twigs and flowers she'd picked up earlier, placing this wreath on the tiny head of the little girl in her lap. The girl turned back to look at her, smiling even more brightly than the flowers. She held onto the face tightly, vowing to eternally protect this delicate, fragile face, vowing to do many, many things for her. "Sister! Sister!" As soon as she was distracted, this face relaxed and grew broader, There was no trace of weakness in those gorgeous eyes that needed her care, only perseverance. His face once walked side by side with her, boarding starskips together and cruising out beyond the borders. Sandstorms, frost, mud marks. Time has left behind much dirt upon this face, but these hands will always gently and meticulously wipe away everything. Just like herself, her sister has grown and matured. She shouldn't always wipe her sister's face clean in front of everyone like an anxious mother, but how could she ever just let go of things? She vowed to protect this face forever, vowing to do many, many things. Sister, sister! She looked up from the blood and fire of the scorched earth. On the ground lay thousands of familiar but lifeless faces, including that of her sister, but she couldn't find her own face. I can save her. I can save all of you. All it takes is a wave of the branch, and I can teach flesh to regrow from the mere bones, or let petal rise up out of the dust to the flower once more. You know very well I can. Underneath her, a strange tree with 1,000 faces spoke to her and to everyone. They waved their branches, penetrating deep into the earth. I am Xueyi. I am eternal. From me you shall gain true immortality. Sobbing, she closed her eyes, incapable of providing any resistance. At this moment she was just an insignificant fruit upon this giant tree, powerless against mighty roots. A colossal blazing sword plunged down from the heavens, scorching away the sweet yet putrid atmosphere. A towering figure in formidable armor crashed onto the battlefield like a meteor, bellowing at the towering tree. The strange tree blossomed once more like a perennial flower, its golden branches growing ferociously to tightly entangle the enemy. Each time you overcome death, I am beyond overjoyed. Like them, your flesh and blood are insignificant, but your pain is something that pleases me. The branches laughed shrilly, letting each head speak one word on their behalf, stringing together a sentence. Tang Zhao, what do you plan on using this to kill me this time? I'm curious. With myself, the man replies calmly. Behind him, the golden illusion plunges the colossal blade straight down into the ground from high up in the sky. Sister, sister! The cries grow more urgent. She could feel herself being once again filtered, deleted, merged, and stuffed into a narrow and limited self. These so-called judges of the netherworld and envoys of the Ten Lord truly amount to nothing. Like everyone who jolts awake from a dream, she returns to her body, but has forgotten the momentary dream. The judge, dressed in white, feels befuddled. And the last part of her story? The raspy laughter of the Foxian next to the judge's ear sounds like the howling of a wolf. The man took away dozens of the most valuable pellets in the organization. Now it appears that he is simply lacking in combat experience. Ingesting just one pellet is already enough to easily crush the judge before him. At the end, ingenia have their limits. They are nothing compared to the immeasurable potential of the bodies of his long-lived species. The Foxian chuckles and tries to retrieve his arm, only to find several chains entangling it. The chains are interlocked and intertwined over his skin like spider silk. The judge's eyes are glowing through the gaps in her long black hair, which cascades down her face. Her expression reminds the Foxian of a predator that had smelled blood. My ingenious organ, deities of the 5 organ senses, has been damaged. The part responsible for my sympathy has been reduced. That's ridiculous! As the Foxian curls his fingers into the shape of a claw and powerfully slams it down, a 3-pronged spike pierces through his palm. He shrieks in pain. I originally wanted to let you undergo interrogation in the shackling prison with your body intact, but you have shattered my sympathy. Just drop your act. Have you forgotten that I'm tied to you through your chain? The wounded beast caught in the trap starts struggling. The Foxian pulls the chain and drags the white-robed judge into his arms. Every inch of his massive muscles contract like coiled ropes in response to his anger. The unsettling sound of bones sliding out of their sockets and becoming misaligned pops loud in the air. Just like how you put it, body and flesh and blood holds unfathomable potential, but it has a crucial setback. It feels pain. The white-robed judge's voice hums as the man's agonizing screams resonate in the night sky. She props her shattered right arm up, her broken iron bone protrudes out like the sharp tip of a spear, stabbing into the Foxian's jaw that already appears like a wolf's. The twisted fugitive scrambles in all directions but fails to break free from the judge's relentless pursuit. He rolls around on the ground in excruciating pain, finally losing consciousness and going limp like a puddle of goo. You say I am a tool that sheds no blood and cries no tears? The judge, now dressed in a blood-stained robe, slowly rises from the massive body of the criminal. It's abominations of abundance like you that have shattered my sympathy. She tries her best to push her skull, spine and patella back to the correct positions, then fastens to her waist a severed arm that cannot be reattached no matter what. What will his sister and Ho-Ho say about this time? A habit slumbering deep in her mind makes her want to heave a sigh, but her body no longer has that function. It seems like every 3 characters is already like 25 minutes or more. So I'm gonna leave it here. I think you guys can also hear my voice getting hoarse. I will try to finish the 4 next ones together, hoping that they don't have a very long story, to be honest. Quickly checking. Yeah, these are long again. So next one we'll finish the last 4. I will have to look up the stories though of the not indexed characters, but I am able to show you this at least. Zoom in a little bit maybe so you can actually see the character, but I need to finish the last 4 in the next video though. I'll call it here. If you like my videos, please leave a like. It does help a lot. It makes other people notice these videos, see these videos. If you have any ideas of what I could actually like extra do besides Honkai maybe, please let me know beforehand as well. Just leave it in the comments. If you have any ideas on other games with stories, please tell me them as well. Every interaction with the videos does help with other people seeing them as well, and honestly, it does help out a lot. Also, since it's the new year, this will probably be the second to last, I think. No, there's 2 more videos after this one for January, and then it's already the first month done. So I hope to see you guys next time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will try to finish the last 4 of Destruction in the next video. It will probably be 30 minutes or more. So I'll definitely like try and warm my voice up before then. So thank you for being here. Have a nice day, and I hope to see you guys next time.